So this Sunday, at least in the UK and the US, it is Father's Day. And as you guys know, I love making videos that coincide with events in the calendar. So I thought, what better book idea to do next than ordering a video for my favourite fictional dads? More specifically, me recommending books to you that have absolutely solid father figures in them. I've tried to go for varying books with different sorts of dads in them to show how father relationships are not a one-size-fits-all approach, and they can be very varying and complex. I wonder what this says about me making this sort of video. Do I have daddy issues? I don't know, we'll find out at the end of the video. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're new here, hi, my name's Katerina, welcome to the channel. Alrighty, let's get into it. Starting off strong, the very first book on my list is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This story is essentially a coming-of-age tale that's set in Alabama during the Great Depression, and it's seen through the eyes of a young girl whose father is a lawyer defending a black man who's been wrongly accused of raping a white woman. Our main character, along with her brother and her best friend, are drawn to the complexities of racial prejudice and social injustice in their small town. The novel is a profound exploration into morality, ethics, and the human condition, as her father stands as a moral beacon against prevailing bigotry of the time. Themes of racial injustice, moral growth, empathy, and the loss of innocence are explored throughout the book, making it a standout piece in literature. Aside from the book being incredible in terms of plot and the narrative of racial injustice, this father/lawyer is probably one of the best dads ever. He has fantastic moral integrity and teaches his kids the importance of doing what's right, which is a testament to supporting the wrongly accused defendant, showing his commitment to justice and equality. Which brings me on to my next point, in that he is such a father figure in his belief in non-discrimination and equality. He treats his kids with the same respect as adults, therefore expecting his kids to therefore treat other people with respect and sympathy, regardless of their social status or race. And he also offers them solid guidance throughout the book when they're faced with moral dilemmas, which is something I can very much resonate with my dad too. This dad is great because he encourages independence whilst also having a safety net of guidance, and in my opinion makes it a solid book for this list. The next book on my list, and it's a bizarre one, but please hear me out, it's The Godfather by Puzo. I will explain why I've included this book, just hear me out. So set in a world of organised crime, the novel delves into the powerful and feared New York mafia family. The story orbits around the patriarch of this family, the Godfather, who balances his role as a father and a boss. This guy is the embodiment of authority and tradition, commanding both respect and loyalty from his mafia family and his biological family. The narrative explores complex relationships between fathers and sons, particularly one of his sons who is hoping to forge a different path from his father's. The book showcases themes of power, loyalty, and family legacy, as the Godfather's sons grapple with the weight of their father's reputation and expectations. So, on the surface, the average person would probably not think that a mafia boss is a great dad. But I picked this book up because I found the Godfather's character so compelling. Like, he has this paradoxical blend in ruthlessness in his business, but a lot of tenderness for his children, which I think showcases that fathers can have many layers to them.
Ogres have layers.
And I think it shows in a very fascinating and unique way how fathers can transfer this wisdom and power and knowledge to their sons. It also explores the impact of a father's legacy on his kids' choices, as it showcases the lengths that these sons go through to protect and honour their family, which really opens up a lot of questions about family loyalty. And you know, despite this criminal world that these characters reside in, these parental bonds and sense of duty is something really relatable to readers, I think. Plus, I really like this book for showcasing that family isn't just linked to blood, as the Godfather takes care of other people in his community, although it does come at a price.
Local brassy sleeps with the fishes.
Overall, I think this classic book is a must-read, and it's great in exploring the intricate, complex, and sometimes problematic dynamics with fathers. Plus, as someone who's just generally interested in the mafia and Italian Americans, I very much enjoyed this book.
Hey, where's the freaking gabagoo?
The next book I recommend for its profound depiction in fatherhood is The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. This novel is set against the backdrop of Afghanistan's disordered history, from the fall of its monarchy to the rise of the Taliban regime. And the story primarily follows a young boy who has a complex relationship with his dad. His father is a larger-than-life figure, a successful businessman with a very strong moral code. However, our protagonist struggles with his father's expectations and desire for approval, making it a main narrative throughout the book. The novel also explores an interesting dynamic dynamic between the father and his son's best friend / servant. The book delves into themes of parental legacy, redemption, and the bonds that fathers and sons share even in the face of betrayal and loss. I adored this book for not only how amazing and incredible it is, but also how multifaceted our main character's father is. He is stern but generous, flawed yet deeply principled, and his influence on the boys' lives are very profound and far-reaching, which I think is a more realistic look on dads. They're not these perfect people, they have two sides to them, they're complex. And similar to the previous book, the father's strength and moral fortitude, it makes him a very memorable figure, especially when teaching his son about courage, honour, and the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it comes at a personal cost. And also, I like how this book showcases how a father's attitudes and actions can really impact their children long after they're gone, which shows how heavily parents can influence our own identities and futures. The novel also touches upon surrogate fathers, which I think is really important in terms of representation to show that fatherhood can go beyond blood ties. And in general, I just think it's an incredible book and definitely a must-read if you have experienced challenging yet rewarding father-child relationships. Okay, the next book on my list is a bit of a strange choice because it's literally slap bang right in the middle of a series. But the next book on my list for exploring great father figures is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. So this is actually book 5 out of a 7-part series. And I feel as though everyone knows the main gist of these books, but if you don't, it's a magical boy who's sent to a wizarding school and he has to defeat Lord Voldemort, who's a very evil and dark wizard. And in this book specifically, we follow our wizard who finds himself at odds with a lot of authoritative figures, both at Hogwarts, which is his school, and in the Ministry of Magic, which is like the wizarding government, as they're both denying the return of the Dark Lord. It's pretty well known that Harry is an orphan, and throughout the series he has a lot of guidance, but I would say that in this book particularly he has the most parental guidance out of any of the others. Whilst I would argue that Ron's father and Hagrid have been his sort of surrogate fathers throughout the series, in this book his godfather Sirius Black steps up and plays a very prominent figure as a father, which provides our main character with this family connection and fatherly support that he's always been yearning, even if it's in with the constraints of his godfather being a fugitive. I feel as though in this book as well, Harry gets a lot of fatherly mentorship from Dumbledore as well, as he provides him with guidance and protection, but it does seem to be more of like a hands-off approach. This book definitely delves into the complexities of surrogate father-son relationships and explores themes of trust, loyalty, and seeking paternal approval. And what makes this book stand out for me is that Harry has so many varying father figures in his life, from the stern yet fair Arthur Weasley to the flawed but complex Sirius Black, which shows how each of these characters are very multifaceted and that father figures can come from the least expected places. And they are not defined by their perfection but their willingness to protect and guide. Plus, it's super interesting to see how all these characters have an impact on Harry and how they affect his future choices and decisions. Whilst I think this book showcases a very nuanced portrayal of fatherhood, I also just think this book is incredible, as I am a huge Harry Potter fan and I really wanted to include it in this list.
But I am the chosen one. Okay, sorry.
Okay, the past 3 have been about father-son relationships, and now I want to speak more about father-daughter ones, especially because this applies to me. So the next book on my list for having an excellent fictional dad is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I am an absolute whore for period pieces, so I'm very happy to include this book here. So this is a classic and witty romance novel that's set in the 19th century England, and it follows an aristocratic family whose mother is very determined to see all 5 of her daughters marry well. But the story centers on one of these daughters who navigates her expectations on love, marriage, and societal standing. However, her quick wit and judgments lead to misunderstandings from the aloof but mysterious Mr. Darcy. The novel explores themes of love, class, the role of women in society, and critiquing the institution of marriage, which sheds light on values at that time. This film absolutely changed my life when I was 14 years old. Don't even get me talking about the hand scene, I am still yet to recover. But anyway, the family's father here, in my opinion, stands out as an unconventional father figure in literature. Whilst he does come across as slightly detached, I would say he shows more of a fondness to his more intelligent and headstrong daughter, who is our main character. And unlike some of the big figures in the character, his parenting style is a little bit more subtle. And at this time in society, I feel like it was just very common for dads to just marry off their daughters and get rid of them because this was their main goal in life, it was to find a suitable husband. But I love this dad here because he seems more critical of these societal norms, and he provides more of a satirical and affectionate perspective for his daughters. And his love for them is obvious, as he places more importance on their happiness rather than their marital status, which is very, very uncommon at this time. It's just a gorgeous book, and I think it offers a very insightful and complex perspective on fathers and daughters in Regency England. The sixth book on my list is The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. This is quite a haunting and sad book, but I still really wanted to include it because it follows a 14-year-old girl who's been brutally murdered. And after she's died, she carries on watching her family and friends from this sort of personal heaven. And her father, who is a very central figure in this book, is driven by an unrelenting quest to find her killer and bring him to justice. And her main character, although no longer alive, observes his determination and love impact not only their family but their small suburban town. The novel delves into themes of familial love, accepting loss, and a quest for closure. I watched this movie about 10 years ago, so it was quite nice to read the book as I'd forgotten quite a lot of the details in it. But aside from discovering that it had a very gripping plot and it had a lot of emotional depth, the father here felt so real. He had this unwavering love and determination to uncover the truth of his daughter's death, and commitment to find justice for this killer, which is honestly such a testament to his role as protector for his child. His character really reminded me of the strength and guidance that fathers can provide, even in the face of unsurmountable grief. And his journey through this grief shows how immortal a father's love can be, enduring through the most painful of losses. And it's honestly why I had to include this book on my list, because even though it's a sad one, this guy here is a really, really great dad and really much a standout father figure. And last, but certainly not least, the very final book on my list is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. So this book is super unique because it's told from the perspective of a 15-year-old boy with autism. And spoiler alert from the cover, he attempts to solve the mystery of who killed his neighbor's dog. And he lives with his father, a single parent devoted for caring for his son, showing a different aspect of fatherhood. This autism presents unique challenges for this father, and it's fascinating to see his patience and attempts at trying to understand his world, which I think is something we need to see more in literature, as there's not many books that explore the struggles and triumphs of fathers learning to handle kids with learning disabilities. And the book navigates through themes of trust, the complexities of carer relationships, and the unconditional love of a father. I love this depiction of this dad because I feel like it shows what fathers really are, caring and protective, yet imperfect and human. And similar to the other books, I feel like this book really explores the determination and resilience in terms of doing what's best for his son. And even while the father is facing his own personal difficulties, the novel shows how a father's influence can also affect the child's decisions and the way they see the world. The novel also touches upon forgiveness and reconciliation, which I think is very rare to see in books, and I really liked it, as it was something quite refreshing, as I don't know, in most books dads always think they're right.
I'm right, you're wrong, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And they're always like, no, you should listen to me. Whereas in this book, the father admits he's wrong and listens to his child. And I think this book is generally fantastic overall because it's really insightful for readers to see how autism affects people day to day. And it also sheds light on challenges faced by their loved ones, being carers and learning to deal with this for them. This book really underscores how fathers can be empathetic, patient, and the unwavering support that they can provide, making it a very profound but important addition to this list. And those are all the books I recommend to you on fantastic fictional fathers. Have you read any of these books? If so, what did you think of them? Let me know in the comments below. I really do love reading your guys' opinions. And if you haven't read these books, what books would you recommend that you would say that have great dads in them? If you like this video, please drop a like down below. It really helps me out so then other people can see me yap about books. And if you're new here, please subscribe. I make new videos every Tuesday and it'd be lovely to see you there. Please feel free to also follow me on my Instagram. I post a lot more personal stuff on there, but I also post what books as soon as I finish reading them so you can see what they're about and also what I've rated them. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye! When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.